Welcome in to Moving the Change, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. I'm Kevin Thomas alongside John Epps. Jerel Hendricks back on the board as always here for our state championships and season recap show, our last live show of the season, guys. You know, John, down in Orangeburg all weekend, we didn't have the best weather, didn't have the best games, but still we're able to see a lot of, really talented kids, really talented programs on display at the Weekend of Champions.
Yeah, and, we got to see 6 very, very deserving champions and left no doubt. There's no controversy in the game as far as, boy, they got this call and we did it. And, had the clock stopped here, we would have had another play and maybe we could have won. It was decided on the field. So that's, you like to have that.
Certainly the case there. Appreciate you guys tuning in as always. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter /X, Instagram, YouTube, and more. TikTok as well at Movin Chains. That's MOVINCHAINS. MovinChains.com is our website and our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Throughout the season, we do weekly preview shows live Tuesday nights about 7:15. We'll continue those again next season, of course. Outside of that, we have coach interviews, player interviews, all kinds of really good stuff coming. We'll have our reclassification show here in a few months. We'll have some new coach interviews, lots of good stuff in the offseason for you guys to watch as well. Just in time for Christmas, John, you're Moving the Chains merch. Help support the boys, help grow the program. We got some great T-shirts, black, navy blue, gray, and pink. Also some hoodies, kind of a grayish color here. We've got kind of an ash color as well. You can email info@movinchains.com to order yours today. You can also send us a DM on social media to get those. Some great hats, Richardson hats, gray front here, a black and kind of a gray back, a black front one as well, along with some other ones you can find on our pages. Moving the Chain stickers, great for your laptop, car, water bottle, whatever. Order that. And also some toboggans, a black and a gray. Help support the boys, help us grow this program and get the word out about more and more high school kids here in the state. Once again, you can order it at info@movinchains.com or send us a DM on any social media platform. Jerel, any comments from the chat before we get rolling and break down some of these games from the Weekend of Champions? Gucci says, go Land Sharks. Thanks for all y'all do. Thank you, man. I appreciate you. Enjoy watching that group play last week. Brandon says, what's up, fellas? Wasn't expecting the closest state championship game to be 14 points. Yeah, certainly a lot of blowouts. Also, congrats to your classmate, Andrew Webb. Big title for him last week. Dion says, good evening. Good evening, Dion. Appreciate you being in here, buddy. Congrats to your Rebels. Kevron says, good evening. Thank you for Kevron. Appreciate you joining us as always.
Little light on the comments today, but we'll just continue to go. We'll break down that first game, guys.
Perfect. What we're going to do tonight, guys, we're kind of going to go 1A up through 5A, breaking down all the games from this past weekend. Feel free to chime in. Give us your thoughts as well. A lot of these, like we've said a couple times already, were not the closest matchups, so there's not a whole lot to talk about. So feel free to throw in your points whenever you want, and we'll go through it. But, John, let's start with the closest game of the weekend that Brandon just mentioned. That's the 1A game. We had the Bamberg-Ehrhardt Red Raiders winning the state title 35-21 over Lamar. First one in quite a while. And this game really surprised me with the way it ended up, because that first drive, I don't know how much you guys got to watch, Lamar went right down the field. No problem at all. They go up 7-0. We're like, oh, man, the Silver Foxes are for real. After that, the Red Raider defense really kind of clamped down like they'd been doing all year long. Enabled them to take a large lead and kind of hold on throughout. Man, I just cannot say enough about how impressed I was with that Bamberg-Ehrhardt group. I mean, we knew they were good, but I was not aware of how good their skill guys were. Like, they've got as good a group as anybody in the state, it felt like. I mean, Brian McMillan at quarterback, great runner, makes some big-time passes, played a really good defensive back kind of safety position as well for them. Jalen McGraw had one of the plays of the weekend on a tipped interception. Just awesome play from him. They were a fun group to watch, John. I really enjoyed seeing Coach Crosby's group get after it.
Yeah, really athletic group. And I tell you what, if you didn't know, if you've never been to South Carolina before, you didn't know who was playing, and you went to that game, you saw some of the athletes on that field and some of the plays that they were making, you would have not have guessed this is the lowest classification that you're going to see all weekend. That was lowest classification, but certainly not the lowest class of talent. That's for sure. There's some great plays made in that ball game, and really impressive with the Bamberg-Ehrhardt defense, because the second half is when they really shut it down.
Mm-hmm.
And that was what won the game, because it was 14-13 going to the second half. It was a ball game, and that second half that defense really clamped down when we gave up one more score in the fourth quarter there. But really impressive team, and the Silver Foxes, boy, they belong in that game. And yes, I had a little bit of hesitation on whether they were going to be able to keep it a game or not, and they certainly did. And hey, closest game of the weekend. But they looked really, really good. Certainly deserved to be there. Hats off to Coach Boyd and that program, and how far they've come, how quickly they've gotten back to such a high level.
Yeah, this was a game too. It was the 4:00 Friday game. We still had some kind of weather rolling through, some rain, which made it for not the best playing conditions, of course. But Bamberg certainly handled business, man. They were a lot of fun to watch. Like you mentioned, John, Lamar goes on a long, I think it was a 90-plus yard drive right before the half to score, make it 14-13 going into the break. I think they scored on the last play of the half, actually, as the clock expired, to make it a close one. But then Bamberg comes out, scores their first drive of the third quarter. They get the ball back and score one more time there in the third to really open it up and kind of pull away there. Super impressive what that group has done. I saw some stats for them for the season. It's been just an unreal performance. McMillan went for 4 touchdowns the other day. Just they had weapons everywhere, it felt like. Marcus Cannon, guy we hadn't even mentioned him yet. Jason Yeomans had a huge game as well. Just really like what they did. And it felt like they kind of got a feel for what Lamar was going to do in that second half, and able to shut them down and just roll, man. Only undefeated team in the state, 15-0. Super impressive. Their first state title in quite a while. We got to talk to Coach Crosby and Brian McMillan and also Jalen McGraw after the game. Some really good interviews you can go check out on our social media pages. Great to talk to them, and just to see what it meant to them and that community was really special. They had a great crowd there, as did Lamar as well. Really cool to see how that community came out and supported those boys throughout this run, and especially in, not the best conditions on a Friday in Orangeburg, but really great ball game, really talented groups there. And shout out to those Red Raiders, man. That was an awesome win for them and an awesome season overall. Jerel, comments from you or the chat on this one, man. It was one that I thought could have had a chance to be one of the best games of the weekend, and it ended up being the best game of the weekend. I thought it would be a little bit closer than this, but still, a lot of talent on display on both sides of the football.
Yeah, man, this is one of the ones where, going into it, I overthought it, but I went with the hottest team over the best team, and clearly Bamberg was the best team in 1A throughout the year. They finished undefeated. They played great. Again, we knew about the defense, but I was just so impressed by how efficient the offense was. You guys talked about McMillan. We also talked about, Marcus Cannon, who's been a stud for them all year, but he really didn't do much. When you start looking at the stats, it was really some of the other contributors. Let me see. Jason Yeomans had a great game, going over 100 yards receiving. Rocky Walker had some huge plays. Charles Anthony Williams had some big plays. So they were able to spread the ball. They were more efficient. But the most important thing, and I think the most telling stat until you start looking at it, they were 8 of 12 on third down. So they were able to keep that offense on the field. That was the difference, where really that Bamberg defense was able to get Lamar off the field, force some punts. And, Bamberg, just the best team all year. And they were just a deserving champion. Just excited to watch. That was a very exciting, performance by those guys.
I definitely want to shout out Coach Crosby, what he's done with that group, a guy that, he knew what it meant to that community, knew what it meant to those kids, and has really been building to that level. Had a great interview with him post-game, really enjoyed that. And just hats off to him and what they've been able to do there. That's been a great run. Also, shout out him for kind of, giving us some shade in his interview with the Times and Democrat. That was a lot of fun, too. He said he had heard on Tuesday there were some cracks in the armor. He had to prove him wrong. So I appreciate you, Coach, for that, man. That was a lot of fun. That's a program that has certainly embraced us and what we've done, and I really appreciate, Coach Haynes and Coach Fanning and Coach Crosby and that whole group there for what they have done, checking us out. But any other, comments from the chat, Jerel, on this 1A matchup?
For sure.
Daniel says 1A state champs, Bamberg-Ehrhardt. Yes, sir.
The stats were impressive here. I can go through the passing stats just for this game. I know all season they were impressive, but just in this game,
I don't have them in front of me, Steven, but yeah, it was nuts. I think he accounted for like 60 touchdowns, maybe overall, maybe more than that. Just a crazy crazy number. But yeah, even this game, like you said, Jerel, if you want to read those out, it was really good for him.
16 of 23, 275, 2 touchdowns through the air. It also made some plays on the ground, 2 more touchdowns rushing, went 14 for 49. So just an impressive performance.
And 7 tackles on defense.
Playing safety, just out there, just coming downhill. That's the best thing that I love about 1A football. You see both quarterbacks playing safety, just coming downhill, making big plays. That was so much fun to see.
Brandon says, I think the rain hurt attendance like more people last year. Certainly didn't help. That is for sure. It was nasty for 2 games on Friday, 1 game on Saturday. Certainly not ideal for a big weekend like that. And 70 on the year, over 4,700 yards passing. That's awesome, Chris. That's a heck of a career for a lot of guys in the state, man. They're really cool, and they got a ton of talent back. Like you say right there, Lamont. They will be one of the favorites, if not the favorite again, going into next season. And that's one thing too. I know we've kind of harped on McMillan and how good he is, but I think you don't really understand until you see him, because you think at 1A, all right, yeah, he's faster than everybody probably. He's probably got some guys that are wide open, running, he makes some decent throws, whatever. But no, he was throwing dots out there, like on the money deep balls. Like it was legit quarterback play out of Brian, man. He was super impressive, and really enjoyed watching him on Friday afternoon.
Coolest thing too is, bouncing back. They had a tough game in that lower state championship as well. So to bounce back after beating that tough Cross team and then just, putting it on Lamar for most of this one, that was very, very impressive.
Well, anything else, Jerel, before we look at the 2A game?
Let's go ahead and take a look at the next one.
This was the 4:00 on Saturday ball game. The Strom Thurmond Rebels defeat the Hampton County Hurricanes 26-7. The Rebels win their first state title since 2005. This was a game that, it really turned early. Hampton County had a really nice drive going on. Shy Williams comes in with a strip on the quarterback as he's scrambling. Caleb Simpkins scoops it up, goes about 60, 65 yards down the sideline. A huge momentum changer there. That was we thought that Hurricanes going in to score, take an early lead, put a stop to that right there, and just really flip field position, gave them all momentum. And after that, man, that Rebels team just kind of got rolling. Deontay Phillips had a huge game on the ground. Bryce Sean Lee played, maybe his best game of the year, man. He was throwing some very accurate deep balls as well. Hit Simpkins for a long touchdown, hit a couple other big ones to him as well. Really impressive what Coach Webb's group did there, because they want to run the football. They want to beat you up front. When they started doing that, Hampton County had to commit a couple more guys in the box, got some 1-on-1 matches there, but to take advantage of that outside. And the offense looked really good in the defense. I mean, we talked about Jalen Singletary for Hampton County, 47 touchdowns coming in. Didn't score one on Saturday afternoon, man. Really impressive to shut him down. He went over 100 yards late in that ball game, but the Rebels really controlled that football game. There was one play early on where Singletary broke free for a touchdown, got called back for a hold, I believe it was, in that one. That may have changed things up a little bit. They get that early score there, but they don't. And the Rebels really, play shutout defense outside of 15 seconds into the first half, where Hampton County gets a long return and they throw a touchdown pass as the clock's about out. But super impressed with Strom Thurmond, man. A group that handled business like that they were good as you could look on Saturday. It felt like.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about playing your best when you need it. I felt good about this Rebel team here late in the season, but I thought in the back of my mind through the playoff run, they had caught some breaks. They got Chester and Chester beat Batesburg-Leesville, but felt like Batesburg-Leesville was a better team in that game. And then, they get Fairfield Central in the Upper State Championship, and Fairfield Central quarterback goes down. They win that game 15-13. 2-point conversion play doesn't happen. Really caused some good fortune. I'm not going to say, they didn't deserve it. They got some good fortune. But then they got into this game, and I thought, wow, this Hampton County offense is really good. It's going to be really tough to contain them if they're on all cylinders. And this Strom Thurmond group, man, they punched them. They punched them right in the mouth from the get-go. Really, really impressed with this defense and the way they played. And, the offense in their own account, they played well. They did what they needed to do to win the game. Just an awesome team performance by Strom Thurmond. Really, really impressive. And it goes to show you football is the ultimate team game. They play as a great team, good complementary defense and offense, and they've been good all year. This is what they've been doing all year long. Really impressive run by the Rebels and a well-deserved championship. Glad to see this fan base get one because they certainly are one of the most deserving.
Yeah, they forced 3 turnovers in the ball game. Fourth. I think they had 3 picks and a fumble recovery. Really, played as well as you could on defense, man. They were super impressed with the way they flew around, like on the back end and up front against the Hampton County squad. Coach Webb, we talked to him. I think Jerel mentioned it in his post-game interview with him that we talked to him a couple years back when they lost to Great Collegiate in, I think, round 3. And he was kind of telling us how, we're going to be back. Like, we're climbing that mountain still. And this weekend they got there, man. Love seeing that. Just a really good team, or a really solid all-around team that did the right things on Saturday. Phillips 25 for 155, 2 touchdowns. Bryshon Lee goes 5 for 7 for 126 and 2 touchdowns. Simpkins 3 catches for 107 and a touchdown. Just, clicking on all cylinders offensively, just executing perfectly, it felt like on that side of the football. But another outstanding crowd at this one. Both sides really showed up. The Hampton County band was there and loud all night. Strom Thurmond brought the whole city. It felt like the Peach Fields were there, as Deontay Phillips told us post-game, man. That was really cool to see that community get behind those guys as they always do. But, Jerel, comments from you or the chat on that 2A state title?
Yeah, Blue Steel defense. That was the story in this one, man. They just dominated this game. You talked about, in our preview show, 50 touchdowns. And Jalen Singletary not even close to that. Didn't even get in the end zone. Outside it was 11 seconds kickoff return, and then touchdown right there before halftime. As time expires, that's pretty much it for the Hampton County offense. They just terrorized Terrell Grant, the quarterback there. Just got nothing going to the pass game. I think he threw more interceptions than completions. Like, that's how good that defense was for Strom Thurmond. And Deontay Phillips just toting the rock, like you said. Bryshon Lee probably played his best game that we've seen him play, and just complete domination. Thurmond deserved it. John probably overthought this one. He would have had a perfect week. John's the one, which is crazy. John's had Strom Thurmond ranked number 1 all year. So that's what's kind of disappointing when you start looking at playoff runs and things like that, but they really deserved it. Great football game for one side, but I think Hampton County's established himself as a program too, just combining those schools a couple years ago. But I definitely think they're going to be a constant force there in the Low Country.
Really cool to see as well. Strom Thurmond had a parade for the kids when they came back, and they went to the school and did a big ceremony at the field that night. Man, it was awesome to see them get after it and celebrate that great accomplishment, because that's big time, man. Only a certain number of kids get to win a state title in their career, so to really celebrate them like they did was really awesome. Love to see that community get behind them for that. But comments from the chat, Jerel, I'm sure we got some couple ones on this 2A game. Brandon says defense played lights out. Hill Singletary to no touchdowns, so they certainly did, flying around there. Jamie says Lee can sling it a mile. Yeah, he had some nice downfield passes. I think the biggest one was that 55-yarder to Simpkins. It was a really big one to kind of break the game open for him. Brandon says Andrew Webb's a winner. Won state with those OC at Saluda. And now this. Yep, Dion says Blue Steel defense causing havoc all year. Defense wins championships. I heard a quote, I think this weekend says, in championship games, you bring your defense, you bring your running back. And Strom Thurmond did both of those things on Saturday for sure, man. Really got it done there. Shauna says we definitely came in deep. Certainly did. Awesome crowd there supporting those boys on Saturday. Maurice says, Peach feels great. Thank you, Maurice. I appreciate that. One of the few things I get right every now and then.
But, yeah, man, just a great performance. Again, happy for Coach Webb, happy for that community. It's been one of the best supporters of our program as well, that whole community in that area. So really happy to see them be successful. And I really think Hampton County as well. They're gonna be back soon. So great.
Well, Jerel, let's shout out some friends of the program, come back and go through the 3A game and then the rest of the state title matchups as well.
Everyday life means everyday expenses. Spend smarter with the Founders Federal Credit Union credit card, offering you low rates and big rewards where it matters most. Enjoy all the benefits of saving while using your Founders Essential MasterCard. Make every swipe and tap count with smart rates, big rewards on select cards, and no balance transfer or annual fees. Because your money should go where you want it to. That's the power of Founders Federal Credit Union. Apply today at foundersfcu.com. Relax. You're with Founders.
With 3 convenient locations in Spartanburg, Duncan, and Greenville, Carolina Orthopedic and Neurosurgical Associates, CONA, offers the most advanced training and experience in orthopedic surgery, neurosurgery, sports medicine, and pain management in the upstate. Go to CONA.care to learn more.
Taking a look now at the 3A state title game. That was the Oceanside Collegiate Land Sharks knocking off the Belton-Honea Bears 28-7. This was the game that kicked off the weekend, 12 o'clock. On Friday, a game that certainly had some of the worst weather we saw over the weekend. You could tell, I think the first couple drives we had multiple fumbles right off the rip. So just, tough for the kids to kind of adjust to right away. But after that, it felt like they kind of settled in. Oceanside Collegiate, goes up 14-0 before the half. They scored two touchdowns there in the second quarter. Just they seem to be a little more complete team on Friday. Aiden Manavian, we know what he's got offensively, the way he can sling the football. Also uses legs some in some big scramble situations, got to get some first downs. That was big as well. And then Terrence Johnson running some wildcat, catches some passes, really got done. I think he scored 3 touchdowns, I believe it was, rushing on Friday. But, they really controlled the game, I would say, throughout, it felt like, John.
Yeah, they did. And, give Belton-Honea some credit here, too. The defense kept them in the ball game. It was a game where you thought maybe the weather could have a little bit of effect. I'm actually surprised that it was as sloppy as it was in the beginning, because these are 2 so well-coached teams. They're both very fundamental. But, hey, if you're Belton-Honea, you go into the fourth quarter, and it's a 14-point game. I know start of that fourth quarter, Oceanside was knocking right on the door, but you can't ask for more than that. After you know how good this team is. You played them last year. They're a very high level. To go into the final 12 minutes and going, hey, we're down 2 scores. It's 14-0. You had a chance. I thought the defense did well. I thought they did their part for the most part to give the Bears a chance in this game. But yeah, Oceanside, we've been talking about it all year. We've been talking about it for 2 years now. This is just a really good group, and it starts with the quarterback. Manavian you can tell he didn't have the best game, but he's in control. He's in control. He doesn't panic. He's emotions don't get too high. Sometimes they get pretty high, but he doesn't seem to get too low. He's got the game in control, and it's infectious. You see it across the entire offense and really the entire team, that they're a group that plays very level-headed. Just another impressive performance. And again, another very, very deserving champion. They had a tough road to get here. Yeah. They certainly earned it with who they played through the lower state bracket, and then here against Belton-Honea in Orangeburg.
And what's crazy, John, we talk about it throughout the season where Oceanside, where they've got such great talent and they play so well, and you kind of, your mind kind of drifts to offense first because of Manavian and Johnson, those guys. But the defense for the Land Sharks, man, holding this BHP offense, I think they were averaging 49 points per game, hold them to 7. And that was kind of really a cheap 7, kind of a chuck and duck play later on where, late in the ballgame where they score 7. But those guys, Reese Meredith, Ro Parsons really were all over the field. Michael Strickler at safety was super impressive. And then, Joey Harriet and Sawyer Arnold, both with big QB sacks, kind of some forced fumbles on those, I believe it was, in that football game. They got after Noah Thomas. They got after MJ Earl in that group for the Bears, man. That defense really played well. Super impressed with that group for Coach LaPrade and what they did on that side of the football. Like, we knew they could score points. We knew they had talent on offense, but the defensive line kind of gets overlooked sometimes. But they certainly made a statement on Friday, and enjoyed seeing them, fly around. They're a well-coached group, a disciplined group that plays good football, man. That was a lot of fun. That's 3 in a row for them now. They won the first year in 2A and now back-to-back in 3A. Got a lot of talent coming back next year, too. Going to try for 4 in a row. We'll see where it shakes out with the realignment and everything. But, I mean, it's hard to bet against those guys, what they've got coming back. They're a super, super good football team. As you can see, like they lost a team out of Georgia that's playing for state this weekend, lost to Irmo, who played for state the other night. They beat Dutch Fork. I mean, they can hang with a lot of big boys, and they proved it again on Friday with another great win. That's a program that, I think, John, now at this point, we just expect them to be in that last couple weekends every year. It feels like the way they're trending. But I do want to say, again, congrats to BHP. Really nice season. I think that group, Coach Blackson said, has won 50 games over their 4 years. So really nice run for them the last couple of years. Just a little bit short in the state title game both years. But he's got a good program there as always. A lot of really talented kids. So enjoy watching them play. But Oceanside just a little bit too much on Friday. But Jerel, comments from you or the chat on this 3A state title game?
Yeah, I was impressed with both defenses, and I will say unequivocally that was the worst weather of the weekend. I mean, it was evidence. I mean, there was at least 6 fumbles in that game. I'm not going to say the other number and give Kevin that satisfaction, but around 6 fumbles. I mean, and really when you start looking at what the difference was, Oceanside was able to make a few more plays in the, passing game, whereas that BHP passing game was just shut down, and it really had to do with the front 7. I mean, they were just after Noah Thomas. He was never able to get comfortable. Even when he was trying to roll out, get outside of the pocket, just wasn't able to get much going. But BHP defense played, lights out. I mean, still holding, like John mentioned, going into the 4th, holding that bunch, to 14 points that far into the game. I don't care about the weather. It affects both teams, is impressive nonetheless. Jakari Anderson was flying all over the field, making plays. So it was an entertaining game. I won't say it was the best football, but it was certainly entertaining. And Oceanside they just start to finish, you just knew that they were probably going to get this. This was the layup pick. So I'm sure everyone got this one right this week, unless you're a BHP fan. Sorry about that, but I think this is the one we knew the outcome heading in was most likely going to be for the Land Sharks. They got it done again, and we'll see. We'll see if they'll go for 4 in a row next year.
Yeah. Any comments from the chat on this 3A matchup, Jerel? Terrence says Oceanside's a different animal. They are really good. Really impressive group there. Nathan says Aiden Manavian and Anthony Williams, that's sure going to be a dangerous duo. Certainly, Anthony had the long 47-yard touchdown catch on Friday. They'll be tough to stop for anybody in that passing attack for sure next year. Great to meet you as well, yeah, Nathan, on Friday. Really enjoyed that as well, talking to you.
Yeah, they'll have to retool as well, so we'll see what happens with Oceanside. I mean, obviously they bring Manavian back, but they lose a good bit, so we'll see what they have.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, too, if you guys didn't follow our stuff this weekend, we've got a lot of great post-game interviews posted up on our social media platforms. From this game, we had Aiden Manavian, Terrence Johnson, Coach LaPrade, Sawyer Arnold, guys from every class. So make sure you check those out on all social media as well to kind of get a feel for them and kind of, give them some shine as well. But Jerel, let's look at the 4A matchup now.
Belt.
For the whole weekend, it felt like. But the 4A matchup, this is the 12 o'clock Saturday game. The South Pointe Stallions, as Coach Collins told me a couple weeks back, it's time for South Pointe to get them one. And they did this year. They defeated South Florence 35-14. Another game that, save a couple minutes there, late 3rd, early 4th, where South Florence kind of got back in it. Felt like the Stallions really controlled this matchup. They drive down, first series of the game, ends with a Jazavian Currents touchdown run. They really stopped the South Florence offense, that they stopped that rushing attack. And I think that the difference, one of them for me, John and Jerel, we talked about last week on the preview show, was that last year South Florence had kind of that game breaker receiver that in one-on-one coverage could make a play for you. And they didn't have that guy this year who could take on those South Pointe corners. And we saw a ton of picks from South Pointe. CJ Wary had a couple, Caden Watkins had a couple, including a pick 6. I mean, they really shut down a solid Bruins group. But you look at the South Pointe offense, I was super impressed with them because they didn't throw the football. Usually you cannot run it on South Florence like they did. I think they ran for 300+ on the ground. Currents only threw it 3 times, completed 2 passes. Like, they really got done on the ground. RJ Brown, a monster game, 193, 2 touchdowns. Currents ran for 124, 2 touchdowns. Just a really great game plan from the Stallions, man. I think Coach Collins knew what he had. Knew how to, knew what he had all year long. Honestly, they were shooting for this, and they got it. And a great win by that group on Saturday.
Yeah, it was impressive to watch. And, it turned out a lot how I expected. I thought South Florence would come out and they would give them everything they had, and they did. They threw the ball deep. They got picked off a couple of times. They said, hey, we've got to be able to be balanced. We got to be able to throw and pass to win this game. They stuck with the game plan. Hats off to them for doing that. They know what they do works. It's been battle tested plenty enough. But what I thought would be the deciding factor is just the athleticism all across the field for South Pointe. And I thought what epitomized that was, and I forget what, I think it was in the first half. It was a deep ball, and I believe it was Wary that picked it off. But deep ball, he had good coverage. And I wish I saw this on Saturdays more. He doesn't physically, he's not engaged with the receiver. He is all over him. And then he's got his head turned. The receiver didn't. I mean, he looked like the receiver on the play, and it was a pretty good pass. It was a little underthrown, but it was a pretty good ball. It was a catchable ball for the receiver. But the DB, where he played it like he was the receiver and made a great play on the ball. And that play for me was, that's who South Pointe is. And this is, South Florence is good. They're very talented. They're a good group. But the athleticism and just the football IQ of the guys on the football field for the Stallions is unmatched. And they proved that in this championship game. Again, another well-deserved champion. I feel like we've seen a lot of really talented South Pointe teams last few years, but they've lacked a little bit here or there, whether it was discipline or, I feel like that's been the glaring issue when they've had really talented teams. It's either, they get flagged too much, or, they have costly mistakes that allow big plays or take away big plays. They didn't have that this weekend. They didn't have that against South Florence. Coach Collins, give him all the credit. They have corrected those problems, and they didn't have that this year. And they were the number one team in 4A and well deserving of getting that championship ring, that championship trophy. There's a good group to get one for South Pointe.
And what was really impressive to me, South Florence, obviously they were down 28-0. They didn't quit. They get a couple fumbles late in the third quarter and score quickly, make it 28-14. All of a sudden you're like, hey, maybe we have a game here. We'll see. But once South Florence scores go 28-14 with 1:10 left in the third quarter, South Pointe goes on a 14-play, 80-yard drive, takes 8 minutes and 16 seconds off of the clock, culminates with a 1-yard R.J. Brown touchdown run to seal that ball game 35-14. That was one of the more impressive drives of the weekend, man. What was at stake there? That was how you really cement that. Just great football, great resilience by that group. Say, hey, this game is over. We're not letting South Florence hang around anymore. We're going to put the nail in the coffin right here. And Coach Collins' guys just did a fantastic job on Saturday, man. Just a great played football game by them. Another game that had the really bad weather, which maybe is why they didn't throw it a ton, but they didn't need to. Like I say, run for 300 plus was great. Just really talent all over the field for them. Caden Watkins, 2 picks, a pick 6. R.J. Brown, the big game. Xavier Currents, the number 1 player in the state, probably Mr. Football this weekend. We'll find out. Just a lot of fun to watch those guys get after it and see what they did. And they're a team that I think won the 8th state title in school history this weekend, first one since 2021. So a really proud group there. And hats off to those guys on a big win. Jerel, comments from you or the chat on the 4A state title game?
You're underselling it. That's 8 in 20 years of the school existing. That's ridiculous.
I was say they've not been around long.
And they went on a 3-year drought. So
4-year drought.
Crazy.
Yeah.
4-year drought. So it's crazy to think about. No, they just completely dominated this game. You start looking at the numbers, and John said, you expected to play out this way? I did not. We knew how many athletes they had over at South Pointe, but it was that combined with the physicality as well. You start looking at, the total yards. They go over 300 yards, rush for over 300 yards. They hold South Florence to 113 yards of total offense. The only reason why South Florence is able to move the ball, they got 2 turnovers inside the 30-yard line and was able to score that way. Outside of that, they did absolutely nothing. I think they had 21 passing yards, 2 100-yard rushers. R.J. Brown almost goes for 200 yards by himself. Just complete domination by South Pointe. Very deserving. Zay Currents, best player in the state. He's got to win Mr. Football because he's not just doing it. He's playing both ways. Yeah. And I mean, at a high level, just roaming the back end, coming down, smacking people. And then it was a situation where I'm looking at Kevin, we're saying, if it gets within 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, who cares? You're just going to run 0 twice. It doesn't matter. And no one's going to be able to stop it. So just such an impressive performance. Football City USA, getting another one. We'll talk about the other school in Football City here shortly. But I was thoroughly impressed with that South Pointe bunch this weekend.
Certainly. Any comments from the chat on that 4A game, Jerel? Brandon says he thinks South Pointe's the best team in South Carolina. Certainly have a case for it. Brandon says they're so good. Went 14-1, 4A state champs. Only lost to Huff, who plays for state, I believe, this weekend. I think it's the 8A state title North Carolina they'll play for this weekend. Huff will.
Yeah, that was a tight one as well.
Yeah.
Very close game. I think first game of the season. So
yeah, played 2 guys close early on. Yep, certainly could be.
Yeah, I think they played in West Charlotte.
Yeah, well, shout out friends of the program. Come back and go through the 2 5A football games from this weekend.
Founders Federal Credit Union means banking made for you. The on the go, the pick up and go, and the I want to go. Because at Founders, we give you the financial tools that make every dollar work for you. For the little things to the big things. For your future and your peace of mind. We'll always stay grounded in our roots, but reaching beyond what you'd expect is where we'll always go. Find out what our members already know and enjoy a new way to bank. Relax, you're with Founders.
Schedule your sewer drain clearing with Preferred Home Services today. If we can't clear it, it's free.
Electrical, plumbing, cooling too. Go, 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 Preferred.
Looking for top-notch sports gear and uniforms? Look no further than First Team Sports. With 30 years of serving the Carolinas, First Team Sports is your local full-service dealer. From youth teams to colleges, we've got you covered with team uniforms, staff apparel, Letterman jackets, sports equipment, and facility branding. Visit our local store in Greenville or firstteamsc.com. Make First Team your first choice. Let's start with the 5A Division II matchup, guys. This is the 7:30 Friday night game, and boy, was it a butt cutting. Northwestern, they defeat Irmo 55-13. And sometimes you see games where it gets out of hand late. It wasn't that big of a blowout. Yada yada. This one was. The Trojans from the very get go. They take the ball first, drive right down the field, and score. And what Jerel and I were saying on the sideline in that first drive, John, they probably had 3 penalties that backed them up for holds or whatever.
Yeah.
They just kept coming back. Just a great game plan from Coach Walford's group. A lot of quick passes early on to kind of neutralize some of that defensive line stuff and just kind of, I guess they saw something on film and they knew they could get some of those early, quick, short screens there, whatever you want to call them. We're able to get those going. They've got enough athletes out wide with Vance and Spurgeon and those guys. If you get the ball in space, they can make a guy miss. They can make some yardage there on those short passes. And Xavier Means, super, super impressive at quarterback. Just really got it done running and throwing the football. I believe he ended up with 6 touchdowns, 4 rushing, 2 passing. We worried coming into the year, what's going to happen? No Finley Polk. Who's going to step in? Xavier Means has answered the call every week, man, and been, more impressive than we could have ever imagined. Really, really good showing from him, not just on Friday, but all season long, man. They have a fun group to watch. And defensively, we know they can get after you. Defensive line retooled this year, but they have some really good guys there. Obviously, Tamarian Watkins, the kind of linebacker safety spot there. He had a big pick six in the game. He is awesome to watch. The Texas A&M commit. They shut down a pretty good Irmo offense as well, man. They just dominated start to finish, both sides of the football. We had a slight moment there. First quarter, Irmo scores, make it 14-6. Like, might have a ball game here. Northwestern scores 35 points second quarter, John. And that's a combination of offense, defense, the pick six from Watkins, and a block punt return for a touchdown by Cam Vance. Scored in all 3 phases in one quarter. Coach Walford's bunch goes back-to-back, man. I was at a loss for words at one point on Friday night. It's just crazy how that game went.
Yeah, that's if they played again – if they play next week, they played in 2 weeks. I don't think that happens again. I think Northwestern wins again.
Yeah.
But, that got out of hand really fast.
Yeah.
And it's, you talk about Northwestern seeing something on film, I don't know if they saw something on film or if they thought, hey, we've got a lot of speed on the outside. We got a lot of team speed offensively. Irmo defensively is probably going to say, let's not give up the big play. We'll give them room. And boy, they took advantage of that a lot. Those short hitch slant routes right off the line. And I tell you, that is really impressive from a coaching perspective, from a quarterback perspective, and the wide receivers. You've got a guy making his first year as a starting quarterback, and the timing and trust that takes between quarterback and receiver is pretty big. You're playing a pretty good defense, and you're basically snapping the ball, and your mind is, I'm throwing the ball. There's a lot of traffic. If you hang around for 2 or 3 seconds and you scramble out, that defense spreads out. Right off the snap, it's pretty tight. You got to throw a good ball, a confident ball, and Xavier Means was doing that. Really, I want to say the first half, because that's what counted. And then you get a special teams touchdown, you get a defensive touchdown, and all of a sudden you go into the locker room and going, all right, well, that was fun. It's just a impressive game by Northwestern. They've done this to a lot of teams. They did it to Indiana twice. And, I know some people were probably laughing at me because I was like, Indiana's a pretty good football team. So is Irmo. This is just how good this Northwestern team is. It can get out of hand quick with these guys because they are a lot like South Pointe, very athletic all over the football field. And, whenever whoever's got the ball in their hands for Northwestern, they got a chance to score.
Yeah.
Really, really exciting team to watch. Fun to see them really stretch their legs in this game. Obviously wish we had a closer matchup, but good to see this Northwestern team play that good, because it's hard to explain to some people how good Northwestern is. I don't think you're going to have a hard time for a while now, not this offseason.
Yeah, a couple stats. Xavier Means, 14 for 17, 188, 2 touchdowns, ran it 10 for 64 more touchdowns. Nigel Smith, kind of the forgotten man, runs it 13 times for 104 in the football game. Receivers, David Flood, 6 for 92 and a touchdown. Cam Vance, 5 for 67 and a touchdown. Also had the punt block return touchdown as well. And what's crazy, John, we talked to Coach Walford post-game. He said, I wanted to go a little bit faster. And I was like, faster? Good Lord. Hammering those boys. But, they had a great game plan and really executed at a very high level on Friday night. And like I said, that second quarter just kind of started snowballing, and they really took advantage. Like, they made the plays they had to make, and they had a running clock to take it half. I mean, that's something you don't ever see in a state title game, but super impressive performance from the Trojans, man. That was maybe the best showing we saw all weekend, but really, really talented group there. Really impressive win to go back-to-back for Coach Walford and the Trojans. I think the first time in school history they've gone back-to-back. I believe they're at Northwestern. I think that's their 7th title. I want to say, I believe it is there. But, Jerel, comments from you or the chat on 5A Division I, just a throttling on Friday night, really.
Yeah, big belt. That's all it was. I mean, start to finish, talking about going faster. That second half went fast because the clock was running. I mean, it was just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, like John mentioned, just a fantastic game plan, but not just a fantastic game plan, fantastic execution.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys clicked on all cylinders from start to finish. I mean, literally, second half they're letting everybody play. I mean, that's letting the JVs get in the game in a state championship. That's how good of a performance they had. Like you mentioned, second quarter, scoring in all 3 phases. I mean, just an epic performance. I just loved how, they made you, it was basketball on a football field. I mean, you look over the spacing of the receivers, they're a few feet away from the hash marks. I mean, and Xavier Means is just hitting guys, knows exactly where to go with the football.
Sideline, not hash marks. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. The hash is on the sideline. That's what I meant to say. But yeah, I mean, that is just fantastic execution by those guys. And again, that was my analysis going into the game. It's like Dre Dobson's played a lot of football. How's he going to perform? He was completely shut down. How's Xavier Means going to perform? This is his first year as a starter. And we saw the difference in the two, in the score line and the statistics. So Just fantastic. I'm really excited to see, and we'll talk about this more a little bit later. Can Northwestern continue to roll, and what are we going to do realignment wise? Because that determines what we're going to. If we keep it this way, I think Northwestern continues to dominate. But if we bring 5A back together, that makes it a lot more fun, and that kind of levels that playing field. So it's going to be exciting to see.
And this game had some of my favorite plays of the weekend. I mean, the Watkins pick six was really cool to see. Obviously, the punt block. A play that maybe kind of gets forgotten, Jerel, was the QB sneak from Means, where he somehow runs for a 8-yard touchdown on a quarterback sneak. Like, I feel like it got stuffed on 4th and 1. Next thing you know, he breaks out and he darts to the end zone. I don't know how it happened, but that was a heck of a play by Xavier there.
Yeah, that's the one play where Irmo's defensive line got to shine. And they completely blow up. They change the line of scrimmage. Everything's packed in tight. And then all of a sudden, we just see Xavier Means step back and just scurry into the end zone. I mean, it was just crazy. Just completely neutralized that Irmo defense. Fantastic game plan, fantastic execution.
Yeah, and then Cam Vance has a sick juke move on the last touchdown of the night for Northwestern as well. Puts a guy on skates like he tends to do, man. Just a great win for that group. Back-to-back, super impressive. Hats off to the Trojans. Great victory for them in 5A Division II.
And one thing, if you didn't see the interview, because I'm getting yelled at about all these coaches in South Carolina, college coaches, please go to Rock Hill. Please call Paige Wofford. Don't let Shane Beamer be the only one to do that. Those guys have talent everywhere.
Yes.
Everywhere. But there's some guys on that team that are going out of state, things like that. They should be playing here. I mean, I know we got Newberry playing D2 semifinal, stuff like that. Go get those guys and call Coach Wofford, please.
Any comments from the chat on Division II? Danny says, question for next year, we all pick against Northwestern. So I have to do some research, Danny. I know that I picked Northwestern last year. I did pick against them this year. So it will be 3-0 for me. I don't know. I can't remember who John and Jerel picked. I know John had Northwestern this year, so he can't go 3 in a row. I don't know about Jerel. He might be the only one to go 3 in a row. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'll do it for you. It'll be for you, Danny, because if I pick Northwestern on the show, they typically lose. So just like against South Pointe earlier in the year where I said they were going to win by 2 touchdowns, and they lost. So I'll do it for you, Danny.
Jerel's the key to success there. Jacob says Northwestern will be tough. His sons at Dutch Fort are solid all year. Also next year, they always are. Yes, both teams have a lot of talent coming back, Jacob. They certainly do. No doubt about it. Let's see. Don't disrespect Trojans again. We didn't disrespect them. You know, that's a team that, it was crazy. And I told Jerel, and I told John, we just tend to overthink it. Like, this is a team that I had number 1 all year long, even when they lost to South Pointe. I kept them number 1, and then I picked against them. So I just, overthink it sometimes, man.
It's like me with Strom Thurmond.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I picked against South Pointe and South Pointe and Northwestern, and I had them number 1 final poll this year. Doesn't make any sense.
Sometimes that's how it goes, man. But heck of a win for that group. Matt says need them all back together once he's really number 1. I don't know what they're going to do with just the number of schools we got now. I'm not sure what the plan is going to be. Can't wait to see how that shakes out here in a couple of weeks.
For sure. Let's go to the last one.
The 5A Division II game that shut down the weekend, 7:30 on Saturday. John, we had a repeat of last year's matchup, and we had the Dutch Fork Silver Foxes winning their 4th in a row, 40-20 over the Summerville Green Wave. This game, I thought we had a game for a little bit there. Summerville comes back, gets a touchdown. They're down 14-0. They get a touchdown late second quarter to go 14-7. Get a fumble return for a touchdown from Jaden Kelly Murray third quarter to make it 14-all. But from that point forward, Dutch Fork kind of flexed their muscle, opened up a 40-14 lead there. Summerville scores again late to make it 40-20. But the Silver Foxes, man, continue to do what they do. Like, the defense was dominant. Julian Walker, Jaden Worth really got after Max Stafford a ton, really pressured him a lot. The key to me was early in the game, Stafford threw a couple of what I thought were really nice deep balls. One was a post, one was kind of a go route. They get tipped and picked off by KJ Dupree, and he has big returns on both. Like, it wasn't a situation where, sometimes you see these kids just make bad throws, like, oh, it's an easy pick. These balls were, I thought, kind of on the money, and the DB makes a great play tip. I think Gibson was on one of them, a great tip pass. Dupree picks it off and runs it back, and that really kind of changed the game early on, it felt like. But Dutch Fork, light on the defense all year long, continue to do so on Saturday, and then Jackson Knotts, that offense, made just enough plays. Man, he had a couple nice touchdown passes early on, ran the ball well. for that group as well. And the Silver Foxes, man, they just do what they do, and they win another state title.
Yeah, Summerville, give a lot of credit to them. I don't know, that run that they had to go through Lower State to get to Orangeburg deserves a trophy in its own right. That was very, very impressive. I know the lower stakes, especially in the higher levels, not always the strongest, and this year, boy, it was stacked. It was really good. And for the team to come out of that, whoever it was going to be very, very deserving to be in Orangeburg. Comes out to be Summerville. They did a great job to get here. Played hard. They played well. Like you said, they made some good plays. Just Dutch Fork was better. And what, to me, I think what decided this game was the Dutch Fork defensive line against that Summerville offensive line. There were just so many plays where you got one or two guys just in the quarterback's face, and there's nothing you can do. And we've seen that all year with Dutch Fork, and they go out and like a championship program. They've been in a lot of close games this year. They win the fourth quarter. They win that fourth quarter, and it was, what was it, 2014 going to the fourth quarter. Yeah. And they left no doubt. That final 12 minutes, they really put their foot down, had a defensive touchdown in that fourth period as well. Just no surprise to anybody, really. Championship football. You go out, you play great defense, you do enough offensively, you play your game offensively, and you win the fourth quarter. And that's exactly what they did. Just an impressive run, because we thought this was a Dutch Fork team that could be knocked off. And once again, here they are, hoisting the trophy. So just incredible. Can't say enough for that program and what they've been doing the last 10 years. Really, really impressive.
Yeah, that marked Coach Knott's 10th state title in South Carolina, tying John McKissick and Willie Varner for the most all-time. He's got a good chance to get 11 next year, John. I have a lot of talented pieces coming back. A lot of guys to replace, of course, as always, but would not bet against him. I do want to shout out, Raleigh Salters went down early in that game, a nasty injury, kind of the heart and soul of that defense, the linebacker there. Hate to see that in a state title game, man. One of our favorite players to watch. He's been a stud for several years for that team. So I think they kind of rallied around him and really fought hard for him in that ball game. There was one situation I want to bring up, and I don't know if it would have changed the game a lot, but it was a key moment for me. When Summerville gets the fumble recovery, runs back for a touchdown, Jaden Kelly makes it 14-all. They stopped Dutch Fork fairly quickly that next drive, force a punt. On that punt, they got to run it into the kicker, which extends the drive for Dutch Fork. Dutch Fork does not, they don't score on that drive. They end up punting anyway, but that kind of, maybe lessens some of that momentum a little bit. Let things kind of even back out. They weren't as shell-shocked when they punted away. Summerville not able to take advantage of that. But that was a key play for me that, maybe kind of goes overlooked or forgotten about. If they had gotten that ball right away, maybe things change. Maybe the Green Wave make a play or two, but who knows. But when you're a championship team like Dutch Fork, like it, you overcome that type of stuff. And they certainly did, and they battled, and they pulled away late, like you said, John, for a 40-20 win. Coach Knotts told us post-game, he said, closest 40-20 game I've ever been in. It felt close for a while for sure, but they pulled away at the end for another big-time victory. Jackson Knotts, 3 touchdown passes, a touchdown run, just really showed out in a big ball game for that group. But any other thing, comments from you, Jerel, or the chat on this 5A Division I state title?
Just really impressed with Jackson Knotts. He was so efficient in that game, had the one big mistake that led to the touchdown. But outside of that, he played lights out, had some really big-time throws, extended plays with his legs, made things happen there. And just think about that. I mean, your dad is one of the greatest high school football coaches ever. And, your first year as a starter, able to, handle all that pressure of not just the program, his accomplishments, and then on that stage to perform at such a high level. Really happy for Jackson. Like you mentioned, 50, hate that he went out of that game, but you could just really see that defense rally behind him. And like John mentioned, that D-line, they were terrorizing. I don't even know how many tackles for loss they had. Really affected, Javen Williams, man, for Summerville. He was as advertised. So good in this game. I don't think he got into the end zone, but I think he was near 200 yards rushing in this game. But the biggest thing is that D-line, he had one touchdown. Yep. The biggest thing, while, he was able to get loose, because they were harassing Stafford so much, it neutralized the passing game for Summerville. Jaden Kelly-Murray was not able to do much, and the rest of that receiving core. And that those are really the things that I saw that really affected it, because Summerville, they brought a huge crowd, and they were really in that game, especially when it got tied up. So Dutch Fork just continued to do what they do. It's really, really impressive stuff from, I guess, 9 out of 10 now. It's just crazy numbers when you start looking at it.
Yeah, I just looked up that drive I was talking. So they get the fumble recovery for a touchdown. Dutch Fork goes 3 and out. Would have got the ball right away. Roughing the kicker or running to the kicker extends that drive for a few more plays there and kind of lets things kind of settle down. But yeah, that defense, Jerel, so many guys made plays. Jaden Worth, Julian Walker, KJ Dupree, the 2 picks. Tadrick Gibson on the back end was locked down. Mario Anderson stepped in, made a ton of big plays with Salters being out, kind of directing that defense. Cesario up front as well, got after it. They've got tons of playmakers on every level, it felt like, and they just played great. Coach Braswell had a great game plan, as always, it felt like, and they really dominated the game. They really did. And just, it wasn't that Summerville was bad, but just Dutch Fork, got after him. Like I mentioned, those two interceptions, they were not bad throws, were not bad decisions, I didn't think. Dutch Fork just makes a better play, and then Dupree, runs it back 30, 40 yards each time, and that changes the game right there. So hats off to the Silver Foxes, man. They are as tough as they come. They're the premier program in the state right now. They just are. Just really great what they're doing. Anything from the chat, Jerel, on this matchup?
One thing I know, that secondary for Dutch Fork, I want to give them a shout. Like you mentioned, them making those big plays as well. When we saw them earlier in the year against Oceanside, Anthony Williams and Terrence Johnson were having their way. They were running all over the place. So they really grew up over the year and just made some fantastic football plays in that game.
Yeah, had some great post-game interviews. Let's see, Brandon says Julian Walker was impressive. He certainly was.
Yeah, that's all we have. Let's see. Oh, no, we're not putting that up there. But yeah, we do want to get it to Columbia for sure.
But yeah, some great post-game interviews we had. Julian Walker, we just mentioned, he talked to Jerel. That was his first ever touchdown he scored. So really cool there. The South Carolina signee from last week. Great talking to him. We had Coach Knotts. We had center Brody Lorenzo. Some really neat stuff from him on the way they kind of changed the way they were, blocking up front for the second half, where they got that run game going. Really cool to hear from him. And then Jackson Knotts, of course, the quarterback of the team there. Great talking to him. So definitely check all those out on social media. Like we mentioned, they'll be, live on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and all that jazz forever. So Jerel, let's shout out friends of the program, come back, go through our pick'em winner, our final polls, and then we'll wrap up for the season.
Everyday life means everyday expenses. Spend smarter with a Founders Federal Credit Union credit card, offering you low rates and big rewards where it matters most. Enjoy all the benefits of saving while using your Founders Essential MasterCard. Make every swipe and tap count with smart rates, big rewards on select cards, and no balance transfer or annual fees. Because your money should go where you want it to. That's the power of Founders Federal Credit Union. Apply today at foundersfcu.com. Relax. You're with Founders.
The George Agency has been serving the insurance needs of South Carolina for over 40 years. They're a full-line insurance agency concentrated in employee benefits and health insurance with an office in Mullins and Murrells Inlet, but they can help you all across the state. They have clients in Greer, Rock Hill, Columbia, and more, so wherever you are, they can help. Give Bradley, Wayne, Richard, and the crew a call or check them out online at thegeorgeagency.net. That's thegeorgeagency.net. Our Pick'em contest brought to you by Hannah Engineering. We do a regular season and a playoff Pick'em. A lot of fun to pick games. Each week we do 11 per week in the regular season, early playoffs as well. Obviously, state titles will only have 6. And Jerel, we had a lot of perfect scores this past week. I'm not going to read them all out. We had, I think, 18 guys go a perfect 6 for 6 there. John gets 5. I get 4. Jerel gets 3. And our overall winner for the playoffs, Daryl B. via a tiebreaker, John. I believe we had to go back to round 3 to determine that. I believe is what you said, correct?
Yeah, that's right. Daryl and Chase both with perfect scores in the state championships. And then they both had 9 last week. So we had to go back to round 3 where I believe Daryl had 9 and Chase had 8.
Wow. So hats off to Daryl. He now wins our regular season and playoff pick'em. Daryl, I'll reach out to you to get you your prize in the mail this week as well. I do want to shout out Chase, David in third there, Andrew with 39, a bunch of 38s with Dale, Richard, Corey, Flash, Jimmy, and Tyler. John with 40, Jerel with 39, myself with 38 in the playoffs. Appreciate our friends at Hannah Engineering for bringing us our pick 'em each and every week throughout the season. A lot of fun to do that. Like I said, gives you a reason to watch games outside of just your team and kind of keep up with the state of football here in South Carolina. Jerel, our polls presented by First Team Sports. Now you've got our final polls here. We're going to read them out if you don't mind. Then we will post the graphics tomorrow. Feel free to start 1A, 5A, whatever you want to do, and we'll go through our final polls for the season.
Let's just start at the top. So final postseason, 5A, D1. We had Dutch Fork, obviously state champion. Summerville, the lower state champions. Dorman slides into 3, James Island at 4, and Stratford is 5, with Carolina Forest receiving some votes. Thoughts on that, guys?
Pretty standard for me. And I thought about trying to get another upper state team in there, but didn't know after Dorman. I was like, where do you even go? Like, I didn't know who. I mean, nobody else really competitive. Ridgeview, we thought they were good. They got hammered by Dorman. Nobody else really made sense to put in there. So I thought you had to go to lower state, either Carolina Forest or James Island. Carolina Forest or Stratford. It felt like for sure for that last spot.
Yeah, I was thinking about Ridgeview a little bit. I was thinking about Sumter a little bit because Sumter played so good during the season. I felt like I undervalued them a little. Ridgeview was really good, but they faltered late. And those low country teams, they were just had too much respect for them because they did it all year. And they beat up. You could have that little SEC argument about the low country and 5A this year. They beat up on one another in the playoffs.
Going to D2 and 5A, Northwestern obviously is the state champion. Had Irmo, lower state champion, at 2. Number 3 is Indian Land. Number 4, Berkeley. 5, TL Hannah. And Gaffney received some votes in this final poll.
Pretty straightforward for me. Not a lot here. I didn't know what to do with Gaffney, honestly, because they were a team that we didn't know what to think of going into the playoffs. They win a big game for Greenwood. They hang as tough with Northwestern as anybody does in the playoffs there. Obviously had a real chance in that football game. So didn't know how high to put them, how low to put them, couldn't figure it out. They were the one that I didn't know what to do with. But, yeah, I think the top 3 was pretty safe, I felt like, with Northwestern, Irmo, Indian Land. I had Berkeley at 4. I like that group too, but pretty straightforward, it felt like.
Yeah, let's go down to 4A. South Pointe, number 1. South Florence, number 2. Had Gray Collegiate at 3. AC Flora up to 4. West Side at 5. And Hilton Head Island receiving some votes.
I believe this is the first time all season AC Flora made it in our poll. And that's to close the season off. It's tough. Like, you feel for them. They lost 2 games all year, both to South Pointe. I mean, like, they were a really good football team. And obviously, that shows by how good South Pointe was, obviously, there at the end. But felt pretty straightforward in that one as well.
Yeah, tough break for AC Flora. I feel like they didn't have the schedule that a lot of people wanted to see, to prove themselves. But, hey, they beat everybody they're supposed to beat and just lost to South Pointe.
Yeah, that's tough. And what a surge by Westside. I mean, really just put it together, advancing all the way to upper state championship. Just excited about that bunch. They're a young team, so excited what they're going to be able to do next year in 2026. But going over to 3A, had Oceanside as a state champion at 1, BHP at 2, Loris at 3, Powdersville at 4, and Newberry at 5, with Dillon receiving some votes.
This is one where I contemplated going like a Loris at 2. Honestly, I thought about it. Obviously, the game was not super close, BHP and Oceanside, but I think if it had been good weather, it may have been even more of a blowout, honestly, because the pass game didn't really get going for Oceanside like it could have. But I went BHP 2. I think obviously they earned that win the upper state title, but I think that lower state proved to have some real talent this year. Loris, Dillon, Newberry, all those teams that didn't make it to the final, Marlboro County, guys like that. I think they had some really talented players down there that we may have, may have overlooked a little bit, it felt like.
Yeah, I feel really good about that lower state in 2A as well, or 3A as well.
Going to 2A, got Strom Thurmond at 1, Hampton County at 2, Fairfield Central jumps all the way back in at 3, Central Pageland at 4, and Clinton slides down to 5.
Yeah, simple enough there for me. The only thing I thought about was I think Clinton's probably better than the fifth best team in 2A, honestly. But with where they lost in the playoffs, it was hard to justify putting them much higher than that.
I kind of felt the same way on the other end. I felt like, well, Clinton definitely didn't have the playoff performance worthy to be number 5, but they are certainly one of the top 5 best teams. So that's why I had them in there.
Yeah, I think that was the first one that we voted identical. Everybody had the same exact, and I think that might have been the only poll where we all voted for the exact same teams in the same spot. So that was cool to see, and I totally agree with that. Fairfield Central, I just want to give them a shout out. Yeah, that's another team we'll be talking about a lot in 2026. Young bunch there, and like we mentioned earlier, how would it have shaken out if they're able to keep the quarterback healthy in that upper state final? And then the final poll for 1A. Bamberg at 1, 15-0 state champs, only undefeated team in the state. Very deserving there. Had Lamar at 2. What a surge by those guys. Cross at 3, Louisville at 4, and Carvers Bay at 5.
Question for you guys. Did y'all think about putting Abbeville anywhere in the poll?
Didn't consider them.
Yeah, I thought about it, and then I said, well, let me see where they fall. And then I filled out my top 5, and I go, no. I got to put all 5 of these ahead of them.
Yeah, I agree. It's weird because, if we're lining up games, I think they could certainly beat some of these teams, of course. But, I think just for how far they went, you had to leave them out.
Louisville, obviously, they deserve it. They beat them.
Yeah.
I think Carvers Bay had the kind of season to deserving of a top 5.
Agreed.
You can't question Lamar and Bamberg because they played in Orangeburg. What is that? Is that the 5? Is there one more?
Cross.
And Cross nearly beat the state champ the week before. So, there's no room.
If anything, that was something I considered. I considered putting Cross at 2.
Yeah.
With how close that game was the week before. Last minute, they were able to beat that Cross bunch. So that's what I considered, if anything.
And those are our polls powered by First Team Sports. Like I said, we'll put that graphic out probably tomorrow, if not tomorrow, Thursday, with the final poll. So appreciate those guys. I hope you guys will check that out, share those as well. Our teams of the week, powered by Preferred Home Services, of course, all the state title winners. That was a pretty simple pick there this week, guys, getting those 6 on there. Our playoff performers insured by the Georgia AC, those will go live probably Thursday. I'll have a whole blog of some of the best performances we saw from the weekend, in the winners and the losers, of course. If you showed out, we'll put you on there. So certainly keep an eye out for that. Probably coming Thursday, powered by the Georgia Agency. John, any other thoughts from you before I kind of go through the final wrap-up here with our socials and merch and all that jazz?
No, just another awesome season, a season where we say it every year. We have the preseason show. We think we have it all figured out. We think we know the teams that are going to be there at the end and who's going to win the state championships. And then we get to this point in the season and we talk about who would have thought at this point in the year, we'd be talking about, does they deserve to be in the top 5? No. Just incredible. Really good storylines, I think, in every classification this year. And that it's been really fun, really good talent level from top to bottom. We talked earlier in the show. The talent level at 1A was incredible this year. You'd love to see that top to bottom, really, really good football in the upstate, in the Midlands, and the lower state. Really fun.
Certainly. As always, guys, be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter /X, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and more at Movin Chains. That's MOVINCHAINS. MovinChains.com is our website, our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. We'll be back next year on Tuesdays doing our live preview shows about 7:15, breaking down each week's games. Throughout the offseason, we'll have coach interviews, player interviews. We'll have a big realignment show coming here in a couple months. So lots of great stuff for you, too, in the downtime. And be sure to follow us on social media. We're going to have some other cool clips coming out, just interviews and just clips we saw from the game, plays, and just cool stuff like that. So make sure you check those out across all the platforms. Get your Moving the Chains merch. You can email info@movingchains.com to order yours. We have some great hats, Richardson hats, gray front, also a black front one as well. You can check out. It's on our social pages. We have great Moving the Chains stickers right now. Awesome for your car, your laptop, your water bottle, some toboggans, gray and black for this cold weather. We have great T-shirts, a black one, a gray one, and a navy blue one. Also a pink for the ladies, and a couple great hoodies, kind of this ash stone color along with the gray that I'm wearing currently. Order yours now. We'll get it to you quickly. It makes a great Christmas present. We'll love to help you support us and help us continue to grow this thing, man. It was, really cool to see so many folks down in Orangeburg that, we've either met before or haven't met before. Like, I felt like every game somebody was coming up to Jerel and I talking to us, either media or, a player or a coach or even a fan from every corner of the state. So really neat to see those folks get to make some new friends and talk some ball, man, because just like us, John, like those people who are there, they love football just like we do. So, I mean, we love talking with you guys and hearing about your team and your kids. It's really a lot of fun to do, and we appreciate you helping us grow this. I said this, I think, last year on a recap or wrap-up show that, South Carolina as a state loves high school football. We love high school football. We've grown a pretty good audience here. I think, got 10,000 followers here on Facebook, 7,000 plus on TikTok. I think 8,000 or so on Instagram, whatever it is. But there's a lot more folks out there than just that who like high school football. So do us a huge favor, share our program, tell your friends to tune in, man. It's always the best when we get a lot of comments. It's great to talk through the games with you guys, get points from you guys. So certainly help us grow this, continue to grow this and make it bigger and better. The kids deserve it. The programs deserve it. The coaches deserve it, certainly. So certainly continue to help us grow this and make it bigger and better. Jerel, John, any final thoughts from you guys as we wrap up here for the season and state title recap show?
Let's filter through a couple comments real quick.
Let's do that.
The last comments of the year.
Brandon says Dorman was very good. Much improved team for Coach Morris. They certainly were. I think I saw he won the Coach Association Coach of the Year today also, so hats off to him. Brandon says Fairfield Central, tough breaking at Strom Thurmond. Yeah, starting quarterback goes out. Certainly a big one there, but you got to deal with that stuff this time of year, and the Rebels certainly took advantage. Brandon said, did you ever have Fairfield Central at number 2? I considered it, but I think Hampton County, just the body of work, what they did all year long, earned them that number 2 spot for me.
I felt the same way. I thought Hampton County proved it all year long. I mean, I had them up there all year.
Yeah, didn't go their way on Saturday, but that's a very good bunch. They're a very talented team. They deserve that number 2 spot.
J-Dog says, shout out Abbeville Rec. Reps Unit 8, 10, and 12 playing Saturday at Liberty High. Awesome, man. And that's what's so great about some of these small towns. Like, that's how you build the program. Like, you have the kids playing together at Rec, and they grow up together and play great football. And Abbeville does better than anybody, it feels like. So, congrats to that Panther group. Big Cross will be back. Returned a lot of talent. Only had 6 seniors. Really great to see there. They had some great players. Caden Ramsey and that crew. It was a lot of fun to follow. They were coached right. They're a team that we expect to make deep runs every year, it feels like. Allie says, how will Blackville Hilda be with Coach Dwayne Garrick? I think they'll be better. They'll be improved. Coach Garrick is one of the best we've seen in the state. Like, he's won a lot of football games all across the state. And they've always got talent there, it feels like, too. So I think he'll do a great job. I think they'll be the Fighting Hawks will be a fun program to watch next year. Brandon says, Kevin, what was your favorite game you went to this year? Oh, man.
Loris Newberry.
It's a great question. Favorite game? I don't know, because I feel like I didn't see it. Just maybe recency bias, but James Island Sumter, double overtime. I mean, tough to beat that. That was a fantastic football game. I didn't see a ton of close ones, honestly, this year, it felt like. But that was one that was really tight and really fun, especially at the end, man. Just an awesome atmosphere there between those two.
Hot dog of the year.
We had some not great ones this year. I'll say that.
Ooh.
I have to look back at the stats. I don't know, Jerel and John.
Should have been ready for this one.
That's a good question. I know I should have been ready for this. I can't remember who all I saw. What all teams I went and saw is the problem too. Gosh. I don't remember where all I was this year, so it's hard to keep it straight.
I'll have to watch the tape.
Yeah. I have to watch the tape. That's right.
Ground the tape. No, for me though, just thank everybody for tuning in each and every week. I mean, it was crazy to see the amount of growth we've seen this year. It's been like that. It's been exponential every year. So, just a couple buddies, talking about high school football, which we're very passionate about, and people value our opinion. I mean, the craziest thing about being in Orangeburg is every coach had something to say about who we picked. And it was fantastic. I mean, and we started this thing to shine light on these communities and things like that. But it's just so much fun to see that stuff. And I tell you guys every week, We enjoy it. Never take anything personal. We think it's great. You get to pull for your team every week. We just pull for the state. We pull for everybody. I want everybody to be successful. So just thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks for the kind words in the chat and things like that. We just, I'm just so grateful. I don't speak on behalf of you guys, but I'm very grateful for you guys tuning in. And again, in the off season, do not tune out either. We'll do new coaches stuff. I'm sure there'll be some dominoes that fall. So we'll have some more jobs open up outside of these early ones. Realignment talk. We will do some podcasts on realignment. We'll go over all that stuff. We're going to have a new batch of schedules for non-region play. So we're going to have to learn new regions, guys. So there's going to be a lot of off-season work that we do. Super 75, tell us about some JV teams. Hit the DMs up. Tell us, if your kid, you think he's going to be the starting quarterback for X school next year, let us know so we can go ahead and put him on our radar. But the biggest thing I want to say is just thank you. And I'll get off my rant right now.
No, that's a great point, Drew. I mean, it's cool to see that people actually care about what we do now, which is wild. I mean, and I was looking back actually about talking about the picks. Like I look back at the preview show for the whole season today, and like we had some good stuff in there. Like we had some pretty good picks between the three of us. Just a quick rundown. We all had Dutch Fork Summerville playing again in 5A Division 2. I had Irmo playing. John, you had Northwestern playing. 4A, I had South Pointe, South Florence. John, you had South Pointe. Jerel, you had South Pointe, South Florence. 3A, we all had Oceanside playing. 2A, I had Strom Thurmond. John and Jerel, y'all both had Hampton County playing in that game. So we had some solid picks way back in August when we went through it. So we try to, not look too dumb when we do this show. So we try to do some research when we can to make it look, somewhat respectable and representable here on the program. But like you said, it's been a lot of fun, man. It's grown more than, we could ever imagine. Looking back to when we started this thing, like I said, doing it on an iPad on a couch, didn't know what we were doing. And now here we are with the, legit setup with cameras and mics and, some real cool stuff, sponsors and all that stuff. Shout out our sponsors, Jerel. We got to do that. And tell our sponsor, shout them out. Don't play it. Just shout them out.
Yeah, all of them. So
yeah, might as well.
Founders, Hand Engineering, the George Agency, Preferred,
First Team Sports,
Sports Teams, CONA. Just everybody who's been able to sign up and do this thing. I don't think I'm missing anybody.
I think that's it. I think you got all of them now.
That's all of them. But yeah, just thankful for that, especially George. We don't get to shout them out enough. The George Agency. They've been here grinding with us since the beginning. So yeah, any insurance needs down there, go see the George Agency for sure. Those guys do a fantastic job.
Yeah, looking forward to next year already. If you guys have any ideas for us, feel free to let us know. We're always happy to try something new. If you think something will be better for the show, send it to us in a message, and we'll check it out. But been an awesome season, man. It flew by as always does. But a lot of great talent, a lot of great games here across the state. But for Jerel Hendricks and John Epps, I'm Kevin Thomas. Moving the Chains is always brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. This has been our state titles and state championships recap show here on Moving the Chains, talking all things South Carolina high school football. We will catch you guys later.
Happy holidays.
Get ready for the ultimate South Carolina high school football experience with Moving the Chains. From previews to recaps, we've got you covered. Dive into our expert preview shows, predicting winners and sharing insights. Then join us post-game for the thrilling recaps, exclusive interviews, and highlights you won't find anywhere else. Plus, connect with fellow fans on our Friday night spaces on Twitter/X. No one covers South Carolina high school football like us. Join us at Movin' Chains on all social media platforms and visit movinchains.com today.